Hi, everybody. I'm not sure when you're watching this, but I'm making this in March of 2020. And I know a lot of us are feeling a lot of stress right now. And when we are feeling stressed, a good escape from that stress is creative play. But at the same time, when we're stressed, we often don't have a lot of mental energy for creativity. So I decided to do today's card project as something that doesn't require a lot of brain power, but lets you get your hands working with color and get you making a card. So I hope you like the video. If you do, consider liking and subscribing. See you next week.
All right, these are the cards that I'll be showing you the process for today. So the stamp set I will be using today is the Simon Says Stamp Stronger Together stamp set. I love the sentiments. This one says, dreaming of when we will be together again, and we are always stronger together. Perfect for today's time. So I'm going to use watercolor paper taped down, some washi tape and a palette, some liquid watercolor, and these might even actually be liquid inks. I got these from my mother-in-law many years ago. I'm going to use a water dropper. I have diluted the watercolor considerably, so there's only 2 drops of the actual color here and water to really dilute that so I have a nice soft color. There's a mark on that paper, but I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to dry this. So I want this nice light color blue. At this point, the sentiment is placed down so that I can see where I want to put my tape to make sure that the sentiment is framed up there at the top. And now I'm taking that same color that I was using before and adding a couple more drops. Now this card ended up being a little darker than maybe I had originally intended, but I still liked it. When you put the washi tape down here, you really want to make sure that you get it down, like run your finger along it. And you'll see that I had a couple spots where some watercolor seeped up under that, but I really don't worry about it too much because we'll use some pens to kind of clean up those lines a little bit. So each time I do this, I'm going back and adding a little bit more of the watercolor just so that we get different layers of the color. So the first couple stripes that we put down are going to be really light colored. The next couple are going to be a little bit darker, and so on. Eventually, what I'm going to do is choose a couple spots to just make darker. And I think that's what I'm doing here. Yeah. So now I'm using the watercolor ink straight and putting it down in just a few of the different shapes. Now, I am using a liquid media here, but you could use regular palette watercolor. You do not have to have liquid watercolor to have this work for you. You'd still want to use a palette, pick up some of that color, put it in the palette bowl or spot, if you will, and then add some water to it to really dilute it, and then keep adding pigment as you go. Now, this isn't really necessary for you to see, but it's really the fun part is when you peel this back. Now, you'll see that I have some spots here where some of the color has slipped in there, but as I said, we're going to draw some lines and clean that up a little bit. Moving on to the next card, shaking up that watercolor, adding quite a bit of water, as you can see there. Again, I'm going for a really soft look. Now, I didn't clean my brush well, apparently, and it's kind of making a purple because some of that turquoise is still on there. But I don't really mind, and you'll see kind of at the end it's mostly pink, and I've got a little bit of purple in there, and I kind of liked the variation of color. What I like about this process, as I said earlier, is that it really doesn't take a lot of brain power. Tape a piece of watercolor paper down, put some washi tape on it, and paint. It's really that simple. One thing I did not mention is that it is really important to tape that watercolor paper down, because if you don't, it's really going to buckle and it's going to make it hard to glue it down onto a cardstock. These ended up not curving or bending or buckling hardly at all. My next step is to trim the margins on both of these. And instantly I think it already looks better. Now I know it doesn't look perfect, but it already cleans it up quite a bit once those edges get tidied up. Using a straight edge and a gel pen and a micron pen in black, I'm going to go through and add some lines here that are going to clean up the places where the ink got through. The one thing I do to help clean up those lines that I somehow can't find the video for is in a couple of those spots where the darker color kind of bled through, I went through with a white gel pen and a watercolor marker that was that same color. So I would color over it with the white gel pen, and then I would take the watercolor marker that matched and just go right over that. You could also do it with a little bit of the watercolor itself, or as you'll see on my black and gray card, I actually just left the color there. It had seeped through quite a bit and left it very mottled, and just decided to leave it and, work with it. Sometimes our mistakes are just things that we can work with and not necessarily a mistake. I'm going to continue this process with the blue card. I'm going to do the same thing on the pink background. And then I'm going to use Tombow watercolor markers on the pink card just to add some visual interest. I'm going to do some doodling and some shading a little bit just to make it a little bit more fun. So I'm really sorry that you can't see how I fixed some of those areas where the color bled through. But like I said, I used a white gel pen and colored over the color that bled through, and then I took those Tombow markers and just slightly colored over it. Another option is to enhance the bleed through and add more to it so it looks like you intend for that to happen. Right now I'm going to stamp my sentiment. I'm going to heat emboss it. So I've decided on this card I'm going to use this light blue embossing powder that I have. It's a little bit old, so it's kind of chunky, but it works just fine. And then on the pink card, I'm going to do the same thing with a white embossing powder. Once the sentiments are heat embossed, I'm going to pull all of my 3 card fronts together. I didn't show you the process of making the gray one because it was my test product, but as you can see there, it was very modeled on some of those stripes, and I kind of liked the way that it came out. I doodled all over that gray card with a black marker and a gel pen, just making some patterns, making some marks. On both the blue and the pink card, I used my Wink Estella pen on some of those lighter stripes. They kind of look like ribbons to me. And I used some Nouveau drops for some embellishments, and those are the cards. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have some inspiration to go get crafty and have some fun.